button, that button. Here we got some buttons. No, it's really their problem if they don't show up. You know, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people registered, but if they want to trickle in, most people know that you can trickle into this call. That, for example, if you're getting off of a 2 p.m. call that runs late, this doesn't have a script. This doesn't have a logical flow per se. And so if you're ever late getting to this one, don't worry, show up anyway. Usually it'll still be running. And we run till we run out of questions. And, you know, whether that's an hour or whether it's 2 hours, that's what we do. Okay, let's see. The share didn't start. Screen share. All right, dear Java, I hate you. Just saying. There we go. There we go. Okay. I reckon you can see the screen now. Hopefully. Everything is playing nicely. Got screen? We good? You see Facebook up on your screen? Let's try that. Any better? Sweet. Okay. You should have both audio and video. Sweet. Okay, and we are recording. We are live. I want to welcome everyone to today's call. This is our monthly session focused around WordPress and social marketing. Good chance you already know me, but I'm Brink-Castleberry, and I specialize in social technology, namely WordPress, Facebook, and building a sustainable online business around those platforms. And so this session today is dedicated to helping you get your questions answered. Because one of the most common things that happens out here in online marketing is that everybody has something to sell us, everybody has information to teach us, everybody has things we can learn from them. But it's very hard to know what role those play in our business, where to prioritize those, and how to fit them together in a way that's cohesive if we don't have people to ask questions of. And so once a month we get together and we hang out on this call and we take your questions live. There's no script, no format, and pretty much no promotion unless it just happens that we stumble on something that, you know, is a promotable item. There's no big pitch at the end. I'm not going to sell you a $5,000 product, although maybe I should. Maybe I'm a bad marketer for that, but I think you'll have to bear with me and do without that today. I'm sorry for that. I hope you'll humor me. All right. Let's see. Number of people on the line. Noreen and Michael and Mike and Rich. Now somebody else was here too, and they vanished. Hey. Yeah, no hard sell, Michael. You'll just have to leave. I'm sorry, you're just out of luck. I'm not going to tell you that you absolutely got to have my $5,000 coaching project or you will fail. Now, speaking of, I'm just going to go off on a little tangent at the moment while we kill just a little bit of time because we are starting right on the money. Yeah, first of all, if I happen to call a break and tell you guys that I need a couple minutes, I've been really, really sick the last 2 days. And so although I'm jacked up because it's adrenaline and because I do that on a stupid webinar, yeah, I've been real sick the last 2 days. And I bluffed it okay through yesterday's webinar, but I got all sentimental on them. And I don't think it went as planned. And so I guess I'm going to have some explaining to do for a little bit of what I said, for having gone off kind of on some tangents that maybe weren't exactly geared. And so I'm going to write a little explanatory video to go with that, and I'm just going to put the recording of that and this and everything all into the archive. So you won't have to pay for that session. So that's going to be included if you want to sit in that. It was a rather small session, but it was a lot of fun because I got to go deep into several people's businesses and have a look at what they were doing and help them brainstorm and troubleshoot. So there was a lot of that going on. There wasn't a lot of structure. There might have been, but Kim was too sick to have put together slides. So I was bluffing that I didn't need them, but they would have been better if I had them. But it's been one of those couple days. You know, darn kid germs. I went to Easter, and you know, even though the kid didn't show up, she sent those germs with her mommy, and her mommy shared them with about 4 of us, and including my great aunt who's 90. So she's also very, very sick at the moment. And so, yeah, it's been a rough couple days, and Kim isn't yet doing food. So I'd like to have something to eat, but food doesn't yet like me, so we're waiting on that. But like I said, if I need to call a break, it'd just be 6 minutes. Just go grab a soda, use the restroom, whatever you need to do. We'll come back and we'll roll as usual. Shouldn't be anything. Oh, 4 weeks of that bug, Mike? Yuck. I had 4 weeks of flu over Thanksgiving. 4 weeks of flu was miserable. I just couldn't seem to get rid of it. But, so you got an Easter present instead of a Thanksgiving present, huh? Okay, 2 bits of news if you're new here is that there is the chat box. And you can make the chat box taller by minimizing the panel that says host. If you click the little arrow by host, it'll make the host panel shrink up, and that'll let the chat box get taller. Unfortunately, you can't make the chat box wider. I wish we could, but at least you can shrink the audio in the host boxes, and that'll push everything up so you'll have more reading room there. There's also a Q&A panel. Generally, Kim forgets to check the Q&A panel, so it's not the greatest place to use. But it's a perfect place if you need to ask me something that is privacy sensitive, whether you're way too embarrassed to ask it, or whether it includes details that, you know, could contribute to a hacking if they were public, things like that, you know, usernames, things like that. The Q&A panel is a private communication channel. None of the members of the chat can see that. But the chat is an open forum, and it is what we will use through most of this. I prefer that you use the chat unless something really is very private or very sensitive, because we work there, and that way we're able to do this as a community. That way you get to know people, you meet people, everybody can help everybody out, and we have a lot of fun doing this. So let's jump in and get started. Anybody got questions for me today? We bring anything? I didn't bring a script. You are completely out of luck if you were hoping for a script. Hey, I didn't bring a script. I didn't bring a pitch. What kind of marketer am I today, Mike? I don't know. I did, however, bring some marketing ideas, so hopefully you guys want some of them. But let's get rolling. Type questions in that chat box. Let's see what you got for me. Nobody got questions? Everybody's just here to eavesdrop on the party? Somebody at least bring beer? Or a good fruity drink for Kim? You know, come on. If you got a minute during the next day or two, if you could do me a big favor, this is driving me nuts. Come out to my fan page. I share this darn page with some people because I need 4 fans. I have 4 fans away from 6,000, and I can't seem to make it over the hump. So somebody help me out with 4 fans. I need 4. And I've been at this little 6,000 mark, just hanging around there all week, and it doesn't want to budge. Yay, Mike brought beer and questions. Mike, you're my rock star. You're totally my rock star. How to use WordPress for social media? Well, there's 2 ways to look at that. The first way is the way that I don't agree with, and that is what Social Media Examiner has to say about WordPress. And Social Media Examiner says that blogs are not social media. I disagree. I completely and totally disagree with this. Blogs were what we would consider first-generation social media. Blogs and forums and even live chat things like IRC and ICQ and things like that. Those were all first-generation social media. Those were the first environments that you could publish a piece of media and have social interaction, which the definition of social media is you take media and you add social interaction. So any platform that supports that is technically social media, forums, and WordPress blogs. So by default, by owning a WordPress blog, if you enable comments, which is enabled by default unless you turn it off, you have social media. You are social media because you're open to feedback from the social the social world, the people, the greater, the greater people at large. But blogs and forums are first-generation social media because they require going to individual sites. And so social media 2.0 was sites like Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, Google+, LinkedIn, where everybody comes to what amounts to a central hub, and everybody has something that is similar to a news feed, no matter what they all call it something different, that brings all of it into one view. Okay? Blogs and forums don't have that because they're all individual entities. So version 2.0 of social media was sites that acted more as a hub. Now, hub environments were actually some of the first environments on the web, and we eventually moved away from them in favor of individualized sites. So do I think that hub environments are the end-all be-all of where we're going with the web? No, I don't, because I've prior seen us move away from them, and we moved out to blogs and forums from having hub environments. So for the moment, social media looks like a hub environment. Social media looks like, if I go over here to my news feed, and I'm going to violate some people's privacy by showing my news feed. Fortunately, it's Dasha's pretty nails. That's okay. She won't mind me showing her off. And, this news feed where everybody's stuff comes into one view really is what we're used to today. The team at WordPress, particularly JJJ, John Jacob Jacoby, who is one of the lead team at the BuddyPress wing of development of WordPress, would like to see WordPress blogs eventually have features that would let you essentially, when I say network of blogs, I don't mean WordPress multi-site, I don't mean WordPress MU, but a bunch of people who were in a similar niche or similar arena to create a network and to have views in their dashboard that let them see what each other was doing and let them interact from each other's dashboard and let them choose who was in there and who wasn't. Let them choose what they see and let them interact all from within their own hub. And this is something that JJJ would like to see us move towards. Do I think that's coming with WordPress version 4? No, I don't. At the moment, we're working on WordPress version 3.6. 3.6 will be here very soon. But as we move towards 4, we're actually going to see the WordPress core lean out. We're going to see the interface get a little lighter weight. We're going to see a lot of things that should have been plugins pushed back into plugins. A good example of this was the link manager. A lot of people watched as in 3.5, or was it 3.4? Anyway, one of the recent versions, the link manager quit being a default tool and started being a plugin. Okay, so because not everybody used it. So we're trying to take the core back to being very core functionality. We're leaning it out so that you only have the things that you absolutely need, and then you add everything on with plugins, or you write some functional code yourself. Either way, you got choices. But the core code has gotten code bloat. We call this in IT and in development, we call this creeping featureitis. It means that the features start moving in, and every time you got one feature, you want another, and every time you got the next one, then there's always another you want, right? You never quit wanting features. So the core is having to work very hard to lean that out. Do I think we will see what JJJ wants ever come to core? No, I don't. I think it will wind up being an offshoot of either the BuddyPress project or another project. That if 6 of us who were good friends, who all worked together out here in the social arena, who were essentially a tribe, who were essentially a syndication team, who all worked to support each other. We already do this. We already do this kind of stuff, but would enable us to install a plugin to essentially upgrade our blogs, stuff in the dashboard that would let us cross-interact and let us comment on each other more easily and things like that. I could totally see that coming to a plugin. Could totally see it, but it's not here yet. So, oh yeah, Mike, to pull, multiple WordPress blogs and post into a Facebook page or app, yeah, for sure. Because this is all stuff we're doing, that a lot of us do as community function. And once you pull multiples in, then you have lots of ideas you can go with it, because it can either be a curation tool, or it can be a syndication tool, or it can be, one thing I would probably, the equivalent I have with it is I have a Facebook list that I use, but I depend on people sending stuff out to their page in order to use that list, because that's how I keep track of security. And so while I get RSS alerts and while I get other alerts, a lot of what I track is from a Facebook list. If I could pull that all into one view, yeah, that would give me a different idea from within Facebook. A different approach for sure. So, okay, so that is kind of aspect one. Are blogs social media? Yeah, they are. They are. Unless you turn off comments, then you're a CMS, not a blog. Kind of simple idea there. A content management system is what WordPress is. If you enable comments and use it that way, you're a blog. If you turn them off, you got pages and such, and you're a CMS, and you're a book. And so that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, how does WordPress interface with Social Media 2.0? Where are places that we see connections? And so we have a lot of things we do. Let me find my other page here. Whoops, hold on. Yeah, I realized what that just did. Nope, not that one. For sure, single sign-in would be nice, but at the same time, who do I want to hold that key? If I was going to say single sign-in, then the only way I would even approach that would be an anonymous key. And the only person who's got an anonymous key at the moment is Mozilla's single sign-in. You know what I'm saying? The new, have you seen that, Mike? That Mozilla now has a sign-in button? And it doesn't have the same, anyway, it's slightly different. It's a little more techy, but it's pretty nice from a privacy standpoint. Definitely something these other guys need to look at, but of course they don't want to give up the data they're collecting. So, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They have to be willing to give up the data. Mozilla, being a not-for-profit organization, has a vested interest in not collecting that kind of data. So it's a different approach. Okay, where was I going? I was going to a different view of, yeah, that one. Okay. Come back here. Let me get a blog post. And I get this. So ways from within a post itself that we interface into social media. Within the post itself, the most common is the social share buttons. Everybody's seen them. Everybody knows what they look like. When in doubt, use the common ones. You want social share buttons to look like what the contributing site produced. If you use buttons that look like anything other than what the site produced, your shares go down, because these buttons carry an inherent trust factor, okay? Everybody knows what they are. They know where they came from. They know when they sign into them that it's going through that authorization process. These are safer for the user that's using them, and so you'll get more shares when you use them. At least that's what I've seen pretty much across the board. There are a few exceptions when you're doing some fancy schmancy stuff, but for the most part, use the real ones, even though they're ugly. I know they didn't consult me on styling. Another thing is you come down and all the way down, and by default, WordPress itself doesn't enable social commenting. So what we have is a plugin called, called Social. And Social is an interesting plugin, because Social is produced, it's signed by the team at MailChimp, but they don't actually support it. It's Alex King, and he does a fair bit of WordPress plugin development. It's got MailChimp's name on it. I guess they funded it. They don't want anything to do with it, but it doesn't matter. It's not really a MailChimp plugin. It doesn't do anything for the most part with MailChimp. But Social comes down, and let me give you some screenshots here. And Social alters your comment box to have a sign-in with Facebook or sign-in with Twitter rather than filling out this name, email, and website. And it lets them fill in a comment. The downside of this little procedure is that it actually creates them as a subscriber level user in the WordPress database. That's not really dangerous. It's not really a downside, but it is something you have to be aware of, that when you're using these individuals become a subscriber level entity in the database. Now, it's just linked to a big long Facebook string. It doesn't say anything, you can really use, but it does give them an entry. Not a big deal. But you come down, and the other things that it does is that you sign in with Twitter and you sign in with Facebook from within your own dashboard. And then once you're publishing a post, you can social broadcast out to Twitter and out to Facebook, both your page and profile, very easily from right here. In fact, you generally set it up as a default, and when you click publish, then it asks you, it pauses the publish and asks you if it should go to Twitter, Facebook, and you say yes or no, or yes or no, whatever one you want. You just check or uncheck them and tell it to go on and publish, and it goes on and does it. So this can push them out to that social platform as you publish. And it's rather stable. The one thing that's not stable is it doesn't seem to stay connected to the Facebook API. It has to be re-signed into Facebook way too often. I'm sure that's a Facebook bug, but it's annoying. Now, they've also made changes recently. Down here, you can see in this box where you can alter some of the things that you're doing with the tweet, and where you can see logs of the tweets and things like that. This is a view of the page that you see right after you push the publish button. It'll see these are your Twitter accounts, these are your Facebook accounts, and you put a check or uncheck next to the ones you want to be sent. And that way, when you publish, it just up and goes. This will not auto-publish on your behalf if you schedule something, though. At least it did not last time I used it. Of course, I see that they are up a half version again. Yeah, they're up a half version again. So, to 8. Now, I guess they're up 0.2. I guess they're at 0.2. So maybe they fixed that. This is really handy. This is an interesting way to handle that. There are other plugins that integrate into the social sites in a way that will let them auto-publish out. This just happens to be one I really like because it adds a number of features. And while it does this to the comment box, this actually retains the WordPress native comment system, although it adjusts the CSS. It adds its own styling in that. It still is a WordPress native comment system, so things like comment love still work, keyword names still work, spam prevention still work. Although it does change the styling, it is still native, and so this is not technically a third-party commenting system. 2 hours? Oh man, that's why it won't stay signed in. That explains. I don't even know, Mike. What are they thinking? Well, just what are they thinking? Anyway, this is one way to integrate within social media. Another way is to pick up a plugin that will publish your posts out to 10 or 12 social sites. The downside of that, you've got to really watch that you don't self-spam yourself, because it is possible, to have a site that you've forgotten about, that you don't engage with a lot, that things start to look messy. Let me show you. I'll show you an example of what I've got. And it's because I don't use it, because it's my Google Plus page, because up until very, very, very recently, Pages kind of sucked. But they fixed some things with Pages recently. It did some stuff. Michael, WordPress is all in PHP, and then JavaScript on top of it, and then CSS on top of that, and then a little standard HTML. Yeah, it's all standard. All standard, and it's just PHP. And the fact that it's PHP makes anybody that codes PHP, if they're not a die-hard PHP fan, they understand that PHP is, when you have PHP is a hammer and suddenly everything looks like a nail, but everything isn't. PHP is a very odd toolbox, and some of the code it produces is kind of wonky. And unfortunately, a lot of people who code PHP don't understand it well enough to take care of tightening up security. It's rather easy in terms of learning languages to code in PHP. That's part of why it was used. And because of the ease of use, it leaves the door open for a lot of people who don't tighten things up in a way. And so that can contribute at times to plugins being a primary source of vulnerability within WordPress. And that can contribute to compounding things, because a plugin can open a door into WordPress and then access to the core can be achieved. And access, once it gets in, all it needs is that foothold in. And part of that is PHP related. Not all of it, but part of it. So when you code in PHP, you've got to learn to code tight, code well-structured PHP that takes into account, what it's accessing and then close the door, and what is accessing and close the door. Otherwise, your own plugin can easily become a target of these hackers. Yeah, exactly. As Mike says, he's written WordPress plugins in less than a day. Security can be difficult to tighten up. And that's the thing. It's not easy to tighten it up, and yet it's got to be done. And it's not that PHP itself is faulty per se, but in some places, yeah, there are languages that are naturally force you to be tighter, that naturally cause you to close things that you open and such, and really don't have some of the loopholes that you can get away with at PHP that makes PHP so easy to learn. And so, but no, all of WordPress is, the whole core is PHP. The whole core is PHP under a GPL license. And so the PHP, the HTML, the CSS, all of that is GPL. And when you hook into the PHP, either by a theme or by a plugin, the GPL rules of contagiousness say that all the PHP that then hooks in becomes licensed under GPL. That's the rule of GPL licensing. This is why we see such a large community of free and GPL licensed plugins. The way around that is you can leave the code itself as GPL licensed and call a remote API. When you call a remote API and you connect the stuff on your servers, you can offer a licensing model from there that, as long as they can't get to the server without having a license key that's commercial, that's the way you get around that when you want to do something commercial aimed. But, again, the whole rule stays that PHP has to remain GPL under the GPL licensing schematic. Okay, now here's an example. This is my Google Plus page, and I pretty much ignore it. I'm using it more now that they just made some changes. They made some changes that are really cool, and I think we're going to see more of them. And suddenly pages could get really, really neat with some of the stuff they're working on. But you can see that I'm publishing from Hootsuite over to here. So I have a blog post on how to use Hootsuite to auto-publish your RSS feed to Google+. Here's the downside, that it does not load a thumbnail. There is no metadata pulled and linked in. So it has no thumbnail, none of that. But it does auto-publish out here, so at least it's something. You see I've got a few shares off some of these. Some of these have +1. Some of these have comments on them. So there is some advantage to me doing this, but I have to be really careful because it does create an odd look. And this isn't good, okay? I'll flat out say that I'm doing this and this isn't good. I need to be more aware of this profile. I need to spend more time with it. This page. I happen to like my profile, and I spend most of my time over there. And so the page kind of gets ignored because my profile's been kind of my baby since it was founded. But so anytime you're auto-publishing, you just have to be aware that you're not creating this, because this look here says abandoned auto-published page, and nobody wants anything to do with that. That's not social. This itself is not social. This is very poorly handled on my part, and so we always have to watch that. When you get a plugin that will let you push to 15 platforms, well, that's all fine and dandy, but if you're self-spamming the platform, you're actually hurting yourself because somebody stumbles across it. I mean, how cute. The API for pages is in limited release. It's the API for profiles that we need. You know, I wish we could get an API for a profile. Then we could publish, you know, various stuff all over the place. But it's the profile stuff we can't do much with yet. The pages actually have more API than the profiles do, but the pages have been hamstrung. But now that they've opened up some things on the pages, not with API, but with other stuff, I'd say there's some reason to pay some attention to pages again. And I've got to spend some time with mine in the very near future. Oh, for sure, for sure. Okay, Michael says, since you mentioned G+, what is your opinion on authorship connection that links your Google Plus account to WordPress posts on Google? Now, of course, you would ask me this today after I took down my widget. So I took down my widget. So let me go put my widget back in place, and I'll go walk you through this. Let's go. The easiest way to handle authorship is a butt ugly widget. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. But it's a fun widget. It's a useful widget, but I'll show you. It's just because it's the easiest way to handle it. And this is thesis, and it's a pain in the butt to add authorship to thesis without something. WP Mash Social. I have a blog post on this somewhere. The post has a lot of comments. No. Really? No? Maybe I don't have a blog post. Maybe I need a blog post. Maybe I've got the name wrong. Okay. This plugin is actually really cool. Yeah, yesterday my search didn't work at all. Today it only half works. And that's got to be a Google thing instead of like 12. It's like, all right, okay. So this plugin, WP Mash Social Widget. So let's get back here. Mash Social. Okay, install it again. This plugin handles both authorship and publishership. You don't often hear about the second one, but they're equally important, and I'll explain why in just a moment. Which is, should still have all my data. Save. Okay, it doesn't have quite all my data. Let me fix this. Okay, big, long plugin. Long plugin box. Enter your FeedBurner ID. That gets empty. If you don't want to use something, you empty it. Okay. Okay. Now my profile gets the string. And my page gets the first string. Layout cell is small. I think I'll leave it light for the moment. I'll do the plus. Okay, I'll worry about those later. Here you can alter the color scheme manually. You can check or uncheck to give credit to the author. Click Save. And back here, refresh this. I may need to clear cache. See if it does. It doesn't. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this widget here. I don't know what we're talking about. All right. You should pretty much just have that widget in screen. Oh, wow, I just skewed that out wider than it is. Okay, that's not that fat of a little widget. It is a fat little widget, but me trying to skew the screen made it look funky. I see that. Okay. This plugin handles two things. The top one is doing the page, and the bottom one, no, hold on, which one here? I forget what order we're in. What is this? This is the profile? Yes, I think so. Okay, yes, that is the profile. And so although it looks like a link, it's actually going to handle the authorship section. And this one, this is the like for the post I'm on. Post I'm on? Yeah, it is. And this one handles to like the fan page itself and to put the fan page in a circle. This also is handling my Facebook page and my Twitter account and my Pinterest account and YouTube. And I seem to recall that last time I installed this, I actually hacked it and I added LinkedIn in there manually. He's got a place on his website that tells you how to do that. I don't know why he removed LinkedIn when he added Pinterest. I think there's plenty of room there to put a third icon. I don't know why he removed LinkedIn, but I think LinkedIn should be in this box. It's not a very pretty little widget. As you see, it's very, very noisy, but at the same time, it handles all these social sites. Now, why, you might ask, would I want my page to be represented here? And here's what you have to understand is that an individual blog is not the only, an individual blog by an individual author is not the only thing that Google has to account for. Google has to account for what happens on a site like Huffington Post. Okay? Huffington Post itself is a website that is the publisher that has a Google Plus page called Huffington Post. Make sense with me? That is the publisher. Then the author is the contributing author who wrote the post, for example, Jane Doe, and Jane Doe is going to have her own profile on Google+. And so when an article is published on Huffington Post, it should get credit. It should credit two places. It should credit its author, and it should credit its publisher. And a widget that correctly handles this, like this one does, now there's lots of plugins that handle it. You can manually add the code. There's lots of ways to approach this. When you're correctly handling this, you account for sites that have many authors. Because the last thing you want to do is to have a site that has the authorship only set up and the authorship set up on every post and then accept a guest blogger, and then the guest blogger not get credit for the post with Google+. Okay? If your authorship isn't set up right with a multi-author blog, you can have that happen. Well, if you give the authorship to the writer, then you've got to make sure that you have publishership in place or you aren't going to get any credit. So you need authorship and publishership. Now, everyone with me? Is everyone with me so far before I go one more step? Cool? Bunch of people out installing a widget. What we saw Google recently say is that there is a good chance that in the near future we will also see author rank. To be honest, a lot of us thought author rank was already here because there's an illusion of author rank. Author rank gives the illusion that it exists because personalized Google Plus searches exist. Once personalized Google Plus searches exist, then author rank appears to exist, but is actually only based on the people who are following you, things like that. Author rank itself doesn't actually exist at the moment. Well, Ryan Dice has got a big launch this last week, and he's saying, well, Google said author rank is here. Google said author rank is this, that, and yonder. No, actually, Google didn't say that. Google said there's a good chance it's coming, and we don't know how it's going to be implemented. And Google said, in fact, it could even end up one day being implemented by your government. You know, that it could end up being associated with a national ID. It could end up being associated by somebody who has more way of knowing who you really, really are than Google does. So a quote got taken out of context and used for marketing. Imagine that. We've never seen that, have we? So this comes back to the question of, so does author rank exist? In theory, not yet. But author rank appears to exist when people are following you on Google+. So what's the moral of the story? Get people to follow you on Google+. Get people to put you in a circle. The neat thing about Google+ circles is even if somebody is not avidly using Google+, if they really like your blog, if they will simply put you in a circle on Google+, they will see more of your stuff in the search results. Okay? So they will bias their search results towards you by putting you in a circle. And that gives the illusion of author rank. But it actually benefits the person that puts you in the circle if they know how to play this game. If they know that they are shaping their newsfeed by choosing who they put in a circle, then they can selectively choose these people and they can make their search results much better overall. I now very carefully manage this. I'm very careful with who I circle and who I don't, and I'm very careful with controlling what posts I +1 specifically. If you came out just to this post and you +1 this post, well, this post normally will not surface on page 1 of Google for this topic because you've +1'd it. If you're signed in to Google, when you go to search, you're going to have this come up on page 1 because you've +1'd it. So you've told Google you like this post on this topic, so Google is going to surface it for you again. The way this gets used is that this becomes a social bookmark. Okay? We all read articles out on the web that are like, that's an awesome article. If I'm ever doing XYZ, I want to find this article again. I don't really want to bookmark this, but I guess I should or I'll lose it. What do I do with it? The answer, because if you +1 it, now it's going to surface in the Google results next time you search for that topic. So when you're then, struggling with something, when you're working on a topic, you drop your terms into Google search, and up comes that article. It's a really handy way to find tutorials and stuff that you've misplaced. I do this all the time. So I don't know if you've used that before. If you've noticed that, do you take advantage of that in your Google search? Do you do anything with that? Michael? Oh, we got lots more people here. I see people. Sigrid and Cheryl and Shannon and hey, John and Maureen. Hopefully you guys see the chat box. The chat box is the little tab to the right of the participants tab. Jump on over in that and say hi. We're here, we're friendly, we're social. Hopefully most of them. I don't advocate anybody have to get dressed up for this webinar other than, me get out of my PJs. And I've been tempted to come in my PJs before. So, isn't that the perk of working from home? You don't have to get out of your PJs, That's right, Michael. No. The PJs are totally cool. Totally cool. I'm a big fan of PJs. I'm a big fan. So take advantage of what you +1 because that will enable you to bias your own search results. The opposite of that, though, is don't go around the web +1ing stuff willy-nilly because if you do, then you screw up your Google search results. It is possible to make your Google search results a total mess by +1ing crap. And there's people that do that. And that's sometimes the danger of reciprocity. While I'm a fan of reciprocity, while I believe in it, there's certain places that I don't play that game because there's certain places that it can bite your butt. And +1ing stuff can totally screw up your Google results, and I rely on my Google results for finding stuff. So there's a pretty big downside there for me. Might not be for everyone. Office dress, standard for work at home at least, is definitely the PJs. and Facebook and all of them. Anytime you have a personalized result, you get into kind of a void, because once you have a personalized result, you don't see the other side's opinion. You don't see people that disagree. You don't see the other side of the coin, because you have created it to be things that only align with you. Very true. Exactly. Exactly. And the same is true of all the other parties, of all the other views, of all the, of religious views, of political views, of sports teams. It really, you do get it becomes a more sterile world, and you have to be aware that that's happening. You have to definitely give that some credit and really pay attention to that, because it happens on things that are very subtle and can affect the way we do or don't think about things. Right, exactly. The truth is out there, but Google only shows you your truth. So sign out of Google. You want a non-personalized result, you sign out of Google or you flip it off. Generally signing out of Google is going to get you a closer one. Okay, next question. Did that answer your questions about social and integrating WordPress and that? I know we kind of went off on tangents, but that's kind of a broad question. Cool. All right, next question. Someone put something up. I will check this Q&A box, which is thankfully empty, which is good because I tend to ignore it. But yeah, Mesh Social Widget is pretty cool. It's been well supported. It's about a year old, I think. It's based on the widget that Mashable uses, hence the name. Mashable has a widget that looks about like it. No more questions? Did I run you out of questions? You might also like one. You're going to have to tell me more to jog my memory. I'm drawing a blank here. Oh, my related post widget I still use and love. It's still got some quirks. I had to add some custom CSS to it. But I like this. I like being able to specify what shows in those boxes. For me, this was worth the $10. And I've used it long enough to say that while it had styling issues that I had to code CSS over, it's functionally stable and it's not a resource hog. Now, all related post plugins are resource hogs, but some are more so than others. So in terms of a related post plugin, it's about where I would like to see one be. You'll never see a lightweight related post plugin, because if it is, it actually doesn't do good matching. Okay, it takes resources to do good matching. So this one here, this is WordPress, I think. Yes, WordPress. And you can see here in the example, the left one is an affiliate link. This is my squeeze page, and these are two that I left as related posts. This was put out by somebody that does a lot of Amazon plugins and generally keeps things well supported, but I've not heard anything else on this plugin. If he continues to drop the ball, I know of some GPL coders that will happily recode this. He's really got an option. He can either get his act. Oh, there's tons of related post plugins, just not that let you put your own items in. There are none that lets you put your own items in. And that's the problem here. That's what this succeeds at that the others don't. This is geared more at marketers that let you specify what goes in these boxes. Yeah, for sure. This isn't that hard. I reviewed what I changed, and I wrote all my code changes, and I reviewed what was going on, and I also kicked it to only show on singular instead of also showing on pages. And no, somebody's gonna knock this off real quick if he doesn't get his act together. And the fact that I didn't hear from him within 30 days on correcting the things that need corrected, I'd say this is going to end up GPL sooner rather than later. Somebody want to facilitate that, I would happily be involved in testing of that. But that said, though, for the petty $10 it cost me, I've gotten a lot of use out of it. I have to really say that I have liked it. That in terms of what it does and its stability and that kind of stuff, I don't fault it. I just fault that I had to write all this code. Well, it wasn't actually writing code. I mean, I changed his page back up to singular, and I added a ton of CSS. No, this is not free. This is a little $10 plugin courtesy of the Warrior Forum. It should be GPL, but it's not. It's a premium plugin. Yeah, definitely. You want to do some hacking on it, for sure. I'm more than happy to facilitate because he's out of his 30 days, in my opinion, at this point. February 13th. It was released, about a week before. No, more than a week before that because I got my hands on it late. I wasn't very forgiving because he wasn't interested in me having a review copy either, so I bought a copy, which I was fine with. I didn't mind. You know, I'm using it. I took out what I was using. What I was using got replaced by this. I am happy with this. This works, but it needs some work. It really does. And you expect that WSL plugin. With the WSL plugin, you expect them to be late stage beta. You expect them to be rough around the edges, and you expect them to get an update within 30 to 60 days when they launch live. And we just, I don't know what happened to this plugin. It kind of fell through the cracks, but it's too good to let fall through the cracks. There's too much flexibility here. It's to turn off auto detect, to custom set your title, custom set your URL, and custom set your image. It's just hot. It's just hot, and you can do it in each and every post. And you can do it anywhere you want it. I would like the ability to tell it to always use an item in spot number 1, or to always use an item in spot number 4 to forcibly override all entries on the site. But that's just an upgrade feature. Oh yeah, for sure. That's what I'm using it for. This left one is an affiliate offer. This goes straight to an affiliate offer. This goes to one of my squeeze pages. You know, this goes, these are posts that this one actually promotes the Warrior Forum itself, how to get affiliate links, and that's just a blog post. But yeah, as an affiliate, this is an awesome plugin. I don't like how much space it takes up in the dashboard. Let me see if I can show you. See, I've folded it up because you're going to want to fold it up because it's huge. I think they could make that less space intensive, but I just fold it up. And you can change what it says at the top. You can change all sorts of stuff on a per post basis. Yeah, really handy. Oh, for sure. And I did promote it as an affiliate, but I did it through this blog post where I said, these are the issues. Where I said, this is what I had to do to make it work. This link is an affiliate link. Did I sell some copies? Yeah, but I only gave it 3 stars. So did I sell many? No. But I don't want to sell a lot of a plugin that is going to have to be poked at to get it working the way people expect it should. The fact that I had to write CSS and I had to write a minor change to the PHP. Minor change, but people don't want to change the PHP. You know what I'm saying? That should have been a checkbox. It should have been a checkbox in its settings that said appear on pages, appear on posts, appear on pages and posts. You know, simple stuff, just little stuff it needs. I accepted this for a version 1. For version 1, it is where I accepted it. I thought that by now, more than 30 days later, we'd have seen a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 that would have corrected a lot of this. We haven't. So he will be at the mercy of the GPL community if he doesn't get his act together. You know, that's the way it goes. Eventually, that's the way a lot of it goes. Things start out in premium plugins and they bleed back into GPL when people get tired of the premium plugins sticking around. Yeah, for sure. You know, and then on the flip side, you have plugins like .org/feed WordPress. This plugin here, this is the most ugly page you would see. But this plugin could easily be a premium plugin. It is huge. It is massive. It does things nothing else on the market does. It does really, really fancy footwork with RSS feeds. I like it, but its problem at the moment, and the reason that some people are reporting it broken, though a lot of people just don't realize it's broken, even though it is that on my blog, with me running some big plugins already, I've already got some heavyweight plugins. When I put this plugin into use, it contributes to 75% of what my load time shoots up to. It has a huge, huge resource use issue. Didn't always have that as far as I can tell, but I was running it on a standalone site. Once I tried to put it on my site, it became very, very apparent. And so this is a plugin that could go the other way. He's been told repeatedly now that this plugin has serious resource use issues. And some premium plugin developer is going to come by and scoop up this code and go fix it and release it as a premium plugin because it would be an easy sell. Because although this is a very ugly page, and I don't even have screenshots, let's see, over here. You know, this plugin, you know, could go the other direction. Not that that's legal, not that that's correct to do with GPL licensing, but it happens. You know, let's not pretend it doesn't happen. And there's nothing else in the GPL community that is close. Like Feed WordPress. Yeah, phenomenal plugin. Just has a resource use issue. And see, you know, you go syndicated sites, feeds and updates, posts and links, authors, categories, performance, diagnostics. You know, and here performance doesn't really tell you what its performance is, but it does let you clear the cache and things. There's a lot of stuff here. This plugin it's a well thought out beast. You know, that's a good question of whether it is overusing curl calls. We were wondering, Niall and I kind of looked at it, and it has a how often do you want us to pull that RSS feed? And we were wondering whether it was keeping that cron open even though it was only updating the RSS feed twice a day or some such. I've been poking at this now, I've got this set real high. But it is possible to start that look and for it to remain in a seek mode even though it doesn't update its own self for too long. And it could be curls, it could be cron. It's generally a cron issue, it could be curls from a cron. Talk myself in circles there. Yeah, but this plugin is massive. I love it, I really do. I told a bunch of people about it and then it turned out to have issues, so I was disappointed. But I've used this over here on this little blog, which has nothing on the front end. Everything this is doing is in posts, and pulls things for me. But yeah, if you're working on something similar, you need to look at what's here in this plugin, because really good stuff. Really, it's just a resource use issue they've got to fix. And he doesn't really seem interested in fixing it. Let's see. Yeah, here you see, site is mega slow when plugin is active. Yeah, you see, there's just a lot of qualm here with resource use. Anyways, I've gotten off on a tangent about that. You can look into that. You know where to find it now. But definitely, have a look at that. That's a lovely plugin. I don't always like how it brings things in. Let me show you real quick. Okay, so over here on my page, this entry, you'll be here in your pajamas. Okay, so this entry here, exactly like that. You see it starts in 12 minutes. So out of that, we get, I'm not even sure why we got 2 this time. That's handy. We're doing doubles now. Oh yeah, and this blog is missing the visual editor again. Back up. Review. Okay, so we get this. This actually works well in this little live feed kind of view, but I don't like the way it crops the X number of characters into the title. There's got to be some better way to handle what becomes the title when it comes in. I don't know what the answer is. I did some brainstorming on this, Niall and I did, because we were trying to decide if we wanted to tackle this plugin. And I don't know what the best answer is for bringing in a title, but I can tell you that cropping it like that is pretty darn ugly. Now, the rest of it comes in great. Links come in and work. Now, they do show the Facebook redirect, but that's because Facebook appends that redirect in them. Nothing really you're going to do about that, because that is in the feed. Everything else is pretty much what you would expect. You click, and here you're getting a bypass through Facebook. There's nothing you can do about that, because that's Facebook doing it. All right, fine. And that's what you see. Let's see, do I have pending drafts? Let's go to drafts. Pending. Okay, and here you have, I'm bringing in Google+. Now I'm bringing in Google+ with a different plugin. And here you can see, here's an entry I brought in from Google+. This was just a reshare view. You can view the original, and you'll see what tags it acquired. So this is your view of your original. You come back. I am bringing in Google+ using Google+ blog. Great plugin, hard to find on his site. Oh, no, it's not anymore. Apparently that link goes right there. And yes, I paid $10 for that plugin. Yes, it was worth it. I got rid of his tags and I got a few other things, and I supported this project. I was happy to support his project. He was one of the first to put out something that truly worked, that was stable. And at the time, he was having to eat a lot of API costs to make it work. And I don't think he's having to eat as much now, but I was happy to support this project. So I did. The only difference, yeah, between the paid and the pro is whether it'll have a link to the site in the post. Yeah, I bring in Google+ blog posts with that. And that one looks like Google+ blog options. And you get a Google API console API. You have to manually go get your profile ID. It can be your page ID. You can pull that. but it only takes one. It'll only pull one. Post history, how far back to update, whether it will overwrite if you've changed one. The import trash, what it will do with something that's already trashed, whether it will link back to the original, whether it will display reshares. It doesn't pull in, no, this one, that's why I'm using it. This one pulls in comments. The syndication does not pull in comments. This one pulls in comments. Let me see if I can show you one that demonstrates that. Pending. Let's see if I can find one. See my baby kitty? She was a baby kitty back then. She's not that much of a baby anymore. There you go. This one, see where I have comments? These came from Google+. And click out to the original. See the original? Now, it doesn't get the thumbnails, because then it just pulls them into the WordPress blog and uses Gravatar, and Gravatar overrides. So you don't get thumbnails, but we do have comments. Now, we can't go the other way. We can't push them out to Google+ or to Facebook. But the syndication plugin, that feed WordPress, is not getting comments, whereas this is getting comments. So that's why I'm using that one. See, I've got a lot of comments here, and this is a blog that isn't open on the front end. All these comments are coming from Google+. Any questions about either of those before we roll on? Or anything on that general aspect? Oh, there's a great question. Okay, cool. Okay, how do you find your Google+ ID? You come to Google+, you're in plus.google.com, you come to Profile. Your URL is this whole URL. Your actual ID is this number string. Yes, it's obnoxious. Yes, it's ugly. It is that number string. So anything that asks you for it. Now your alternative is, what is that site? I'm going to have to go look it up, of course. You have to go look it up. It's unofficial. Yeah. Here is a link to get your unofficial vanity URL if you want something that is shorter to share. Yes, G+.2. And you come to G+.2 and you put in your chosen nickname. For example, I used Ask Kim. And you paste your ID number. Paste. Whoops, not that. So it tells you right here, you get that number string. So we come back here, we get this number string. We paste it in here. You click add. I'm not going to do that because mine already exists. And out pops a short URL. This is not your ID. This is just a short URL. And this is unofficial. This is not owned by Google. And technically, although it's been very stable and very well sponsored in that, I'm not real thrilled with the country and the country of origin where this particular site is hosted. It's one of those that's in questionable territory and could become a problem in the future, but never has been so far. So totally useful, That gives you a short. But your ID is just that number. And if I flip over to my page, which is what? I missed the which is. I'm failing to recall off the top of my head, but my memory, which is really fuzzy at the moment, seems to recall it's in either Turkey or Syria. I'd have to go do a who is. No, it wasn't on a who is. Where did we find that? We wrote blog posts on it. We used to write, when Google Plus first came out and these things came out, we had out. Right. It was in a country that that most of us decided we were not really comfortable with. We knew it hadn't been trouble, but still it could become trouble. Okay, and for your page, you'll actually have two strings of numbers. but they're actually generally the same number. I always just grab the front one just to make sure that I'm where I belong. Copy. And that's your ID for your page. And that gives you that. No problem, sweetie. Gotcha hooked up. It keeps thinking I want to get rid of my narrow banner, and I'm not intent to get rid of my narrow banner yet. So, any other questions? And Mike, I'm not sure if you do Android, but you might enjoy that. That's an interesting little go-go project, Indiegogo. Yep, crowdfunding. Are we all out of questions? Did I question you all out yesterday? Did we learn so much yesterday your brain just can't take anymore? Well, ask some. Come on. Let's make it happen. Ask some questions. Let's roll. I still need 4 fans. I still need 4 fans. Darn it. You're going to have to find me 4 fans. A quick question then for a newbie to WordPress. What are some good sites to start hanging out on? Well, mine, of course. That's right. One place you might want to jump in, besides the obvious, let me let you in a little secret project of mine. Come down. This is Niall's project, but I hang out there just about as regularly because she and I are both neighbors and good buds. This is a Facebook group that we run that is open for WordPress questions. And what makes it interesting is that you'll just see the neatest amount of topics come through discussed. So it's a great way to just have a constant flow of WordPress kind of butting into your reality and adding things to what you're thinking. For example, Syed Balki runs WP Beginner. He's got a phenomenal WordPress site. And, he has a post here on why you should not remove dates from your WordPress posts, even though that's become a bit of a fad lately. And he's got a post on how to remove the website URL field from the comment form. He talks about 3.6. He talks about Genesis. He talks, lots of stuff here. This was asking about waterfall. This was me asking about waterfall. I'm having some trouble with the waterfall test. This is, people talking about hypercache versus W3 total cache. Lots of good stuff goes through this group. And there is enough pro community in here that if some novice starts creating things that are incorrect, they're going to get, told that what they're doing is wrong. And so you aren't going to get posts that are going to be way out in left field like we see on some blogs. Because if somebody shares a blog in here, pros are going to see it. And if it's incorrect code or if it's a dangerous approach or something, somebody's going to say something. And so that makes it a pretty safe haven in terms of WordPress stuff. Yeah, I hate removing dates too. And then I also have posts on my blog that have their dates that are 2 years old, and then somebody will come in and whine that it doesn't work, and why doesn't it work, and your tutorial sucks and all this. And I'm like, would you just look at the date? Really? Just look at the date. Facebook changes everything every 30 minutes. You can't expect a 2-year-old post to still work. It's just the truth of it. So jump into that group. If you hit request, I will let you in the door momentarily. And in terms of other places, WP Beginner can be a good one. There's some things Syed does that are a little interesting, but WP Beginner can be good. And then, of course, my WordPress video library. And then, I guess once you get beyond WP Beginner, then WPMU.org. WPMU.org is not aimed at beginners, though. So, you know, be aware that many of the posts are fluffy and won't be any problem for you, but some of them are very development oriented. So you just skim over them and let them slide. Another one is Niall's site, which she, kind of like mine, is a little more social media than just WordPress. John, in Facebook or on your blog? Completely different answer. And so this is Niall's site. Check her out there. And she's got a podcast, and I've got a podcast, but that all's on the blog too. She and I both republished our blog. And no. Let's see what she's got in her resources real quick. No, nothing at the moment. Well, that's kind of my opinion. A lot of people like WP Candy, but I'll be honest, I'm not fond of their site. I just rarely find what I need on their site. You know what I'm saying? That there are sites that there's nothing logistically wrong with, but they're always working on stuff that's way out apart from things I'm doing. So I'm certain there are people that find their site perfect because they have a huge readership and they are one of the central blogs in the community. But I don't get a lot from them, but I know people do, so definitely worth checking out what they're doing. And then WP Tavern, in case you need to refill your beer. This, yeah, this is the site. Yeah, this isn't updated real often, but it's still a very good site most of the time. A lot of the things going on. For example, they were one of the first to publish when that security hole was found in W3 Total Cache. So they made sure that everybody became aware while we patched it. It's fixed. Again, but not real beginner oriented. So join the group, see Niall's blog, see my blog, see my video library, and you can always ask stuff on my WordPress, on my Facebook page. There you go. These tabs under here, John, these belong to groups. They don't appear for pages. These are for groups. And so they're just there. For example, this is my group, Biz Blogging Buzz, and I have these tabs. And you go into them once you're an admin. And as the admin, I can add the description, or I can add events, or I can add, oh, there's nothing there. I can add group photos, or I can add files. Okay? So those are either, it may be that you're looking at a page and thinking they should be there, and they're only there for groups rather than pages. Does that make sense? Or does that not answer your question, John? And of course I get spammers. Oh boy, spammer. John, you with me? Did that answer your question? Let me see your URL, John. What's your URL in there? Privately about how to set up a Google Plus page, and this is the link for how to do that. Okay, these boxes, these are different than what groups have. These are, let me see if I have a post somewhere. Another post related to that Google Plus question that was asked privately is here's how to auto-publish your RSS feed to your page. It only works to your page, not to your profile. And then Mike, can you see why I had to set up Google Custom Search? Seriously? I'd never find anything on my blog without it. Okay, John, this is about those tabs. This post is about those app tabs and tells you how to change the image on them if you want. But really, they are related to the apps you run, but some of them are static. For example, the photos will always have a thumbnail of the most recently added photo, so you can't do anything with that. The website one is from an app that you've added. You can see at the bottom left corner of my browser that there it says app_1086, well, it did, so there, 108674, yada yada. That's an app that you've added to your Facebook page. This is also the same. This is an app. That's an app. And this is the default like, that you can't do anything about except move around. And other apps, as you add them, will fill in here. So for example, if I come back to my page, I'm under here, you'll see what happens when you have a lot of them. Not really useful to have a lot of them. I have way more than anybody should, because the honest truth is people don't generally look through them. Most people don't go beyond the top 4, and when you have it like this, it's just kind of a flood. But I play with so many apps that it's just a consequence. You control apps you added by going to Edit Page, Update Info. On the left is Apps, and here you see all the apps you've added. And I think by default, the 2 defaults are in here. Yeah, photos would be in here by default. Notes would be in here by default. Those aren't added. Those were part of your page. In here by default. And Those would be the only default ones. By default, they get added to a little box, yes, but you may have either removed the box or not all may have boxes. For example, Google Plus tab for pages. I can go to app, edit settings, or link to this tab. And so link to this tab would tell me this is the link to the tab itself. If I wanted to go directly to the tab, or I can go into edit settings and I can change either the tab image or I can change the tab name. And it's in a tab at the moment, so I could remove it from a tab. But mine are in tabs. A lot of your, if you've got more than you have tabs showing up, then you may have these that yet need to be added. You may have some that aren't added. Let's see if I don't have any more room to add one, so I can't really, I need to clean out my apps again. I got some app crap again. A lot of these aren't any good. A lot of these are a mess. So yeah, this is where you control those. And a little X would actually remove them from the page, but will not remove their permissions from your account itself. So if you're totally going to remove something, then you're going to want to come over into your actual profile account. You're going to want to go to Manage Apps. It's going to make you sign in again because it does. Oh, that was not what I wanted. Not that app. Not that app. Wasn't thinking. I had the wrong one. Back up. Yes, I have those apps too. Account settings. There we go. Go to account settings. Go to apps. Here are all the apps that have ever been added to your profile, which includes all the ones added to your page, but also the ones added to your profile. And this is where you tell them what permissions they can have and whether they should bugger off. So this is the Pinterest app. When it posts, I allow it to post public. I allow it access to my basic information. It may post on my behalf. It is allowed to send me notifications, and I can click here to remove the app. A lot of apps these apps are set by default. They are posting to friends. If I wanted Buffer to be able to post publicly, I'd open this up. It's got a little different view because this was attached to my page. I can set this to public from friends. I can change, whether it can manage my pages, things like that. If you take away some of its permissions, it may fail to work. That is the consequence of taking away its permissions. A lot of times they actually do need those, and you can change whether or not it sends you notifications. I generally want my apps to send me notifications because they are the type of apps that are using notifications for valid business reasons. If it was spamming me, I'd tell it couldn't send notifications, but for the most part, these are apps that only send notifications if there's something I need to be aware of. So come down. Anyway, you just pick and choose what permissions you want them to have, what they're allowed to have, what they're allowed to post to, who can see it when they post, things like that. And I need to do a clean out here as well again. Like that. There's an app I picked up accidentally because somebody was spamming me with it. And see, you can remove them and you can choose whether or not to remove things they've prior posted. Got to leave my card validation. I like Zombies Run. Zombies Run is fun. It doesn't really need Facebook sign-in, but it's just cool because then it tells my friends that I ran away from zombies. Okay, everybody with me? Any more questions? LeadFlash Pro is an app that's about to come back. I'm very glad to see this back. I told Rosh that I'd seen an app that I was loving that was put out by a team that was doing Flash apps that was getting opt-in forms into the newsfeed. And I told Rosh this, and he took the idea and ran and set up LeadFlash Pro, Well, then, as Mike can tell you, Facebook changes everything every time you turn around. And Rash's team didn't keep up with the last two big Facebook changes, and so at the moment their app is broke. But it's really, really handy to be able to put an opt-in form right in the news feed, right? Going down the news stream, they don't have to click a tab, they don't have to leave, they don't have to do anything. So this week, you may have gotten emails and, promotions from a team that took Rash's stuff and ran with it and released an app called, it was called Splash Tab, I think. Not for sure. But it was about $400. And it did very nice opt-ins in the newsfeed and stuff. It was better looking than Lead Flash Pro was and had a lot of stuff going on. It could be used with clients and stuff and wasn't just, single page license. And that came out this week. So I got in touch with Rash and I said, so what's the status of Lead Flash Pro? And he says, be back in about 60 days. I said, all right, let me know if you need help with beta testing again. And so hopefully they're coming back, and hopefully I can go back to putting opt-ins in my newsfeed again, because that worked really well for me. It was cool. For those people who are on Flash-based devices, doesn't work for mobile, of course, because no Flash on mobile. But still really cool for marketers. So I'm looking forward to this coming back. No, I did not promote Splash Pro or Splash Pages, whatever they called that. I'm looking forward to this coming back. When it worked, it was great. It's just that, as Mike will tell you, Facebook breaks everything every time you turn around. Let's see if I have... Let me see if I still have one of the promotions. I live far enough. You can go look at it. I'm not going to play it on here. Let's see if I can jump into the video. Oh, here you go. This is the news feed, and this is an opt-in box, an opt-in form that actually works right in the news feed. These are being done with Flash. This uses the Flash player, and I'll have to load a little more before I can show. I don't know if you can even see that. And for example, there's some more examples. But these are opt-in forms that run down the newsfeed. Now they're 400. Yeah. Well, see, what's going to happen is they are going to be a monthly service. They're going to be, I don't know, probably 49 or so a month, I would guess I'm at. I haven't heard for sure, but that was a lifetime license, and I think it was $4.95 for a lifetime license. But they closed that. It was just a very short-lived thing to test interest. But I talked with Rash, and Rash says that he's going to bring Lead Flash Pro back as well. See, the thing is, most people don't need this because this is set up for doing taking care of a whole bunch of offline clients. If you have a whole bunch of offline clients, this is geared for you because this had essentially what amounts to developer licensing where you could use it with all your clients. But Lead Flash Pro has always been single account licensed. But this is closed now. This isn't available at the moment. Let's see if I can find another. I'm just jumping through the video. Here you can see this is being used as essentially as a daily deal. Let's get your deals, and this is promotion. So it had deals features. It had, I think there was some coupon features. I think there was some other stuff in it. I looked at it and couldn't justify the cost, but I don't have the right client base that it was aimed at. I was not their target market. I knew that. But it's my job to stay aware of who's creating cool crap out here. Okie dokie. Any other questions? Looks like we're getting towards wrap up. We got questions? Thanks, Sigrid. You have a great day, honey. Saw your private message. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy what I do. And that really is, you know, I was talking with you guys yesterday, and I was kind of hard on you yesterday because I said, you know, you really have to be in this for the long term, but it's true. If what you're doing is not something you're passionate about, your viability in the industry is going to be really stretched. You have to really be passionate enough to have, let's see, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but yesterday I was sick as a dog and I came and ran a webinar. If you won't do that, if it doesn't drive you enough, if you don't love it enough, if it isn't something that you care enough about the people that you are working with and the people that are your readers and, you know, may not even buy, you know, that wasn't a paid webinar yesterday. You know, if that isn't a drive in you that pushes you that hard, you're going to be hard pressed to stay in the game long enough to achieve viability out here. And that's really just the truth of it. And it's not that you can't. I think I sounded down yesterday. I think I sounded kind of a Debbie Downer about it because I gave you guys a culture shock. And yet I want you to realize that it can and does happen. It does play out. It does all work out in the end. But you have to have the drive for it. You have to have the willingness to sustain it. You have to be passionate about it. And you've got to be out here for the long haul. And those are the real realities that don't sell a lot of copies of product. Those don't sell a lot of courses. They don't sell a lot of ebooks. They don't sell me a lot of anything, but they're the reality. Yeah, I understand. You know, to have worked through, you know, that many courses and have done all of that. Yeah, for sure. The WSOs, they're the worst breed. Let me clue you in on something. Even the WSO community, the people who essentially live in that community and the people who release products daily or monthly at least are aware that the WSO community has become a cesspool. It is some of the worst at the moment. And the problem with it is it's a very sticky cesspool because they tell you what they've done, which is what they've done was to create into that market, but then you fall into that market and then you can't get out of it. Because once your list starts seeing all those offers and once your list gets trained to buying that kind of crap, it's hard to get away from it. It's hard to get your list to come back to buying the good stuff that they really need. It's hard to convince your list that a $197 product is a better product than that $7 product they're going to buy today, tomorrow, and the next day. It's hard to get your list to close their wallet and to hold on to it until they need to open it for the right things. And it is, for some marketers, the end of the road because many marketers will fall into that cesspool and not climb out again. They will burn up all the cash reserve they have and it'll be game over. You know, it's just a matter of time. It's Mario falling in the lava and he can only stay there so long before he dies. You know, so it's why I'm very careful about what WSOs I promote. It's why I don't send you guys out to the WSO boards very often. It's why I don't like to let you onto the lists of WSO marketers. It's why I would rather license content and resell licensed content than to make more money as an affiliate promoting it outright. I'd rather make lesser money selling it as a licensee in terms of different product lines and things, just because it enables me to control whose list you do and don't end up on. And it's like why when I mentioned Max banner ads, I guess that was yesterday, when I mentioned that, I said the first thing you have to do is get off that email list. Because if you don't, you will be spammed twice a day, every day with something to buy. You know, stuff you don't need. Stuff you don't, that's the big kicker. If it was stuff you needed, it would be different. But it will be every day, twice a day, stuff you don't need. And it hurts me, the idea of sending somebody to that product, but yet it's still the best of its kind, so I kind of have to. But I do it with a disclaimer. And I hope that helps. I hope that makes a difference to people. But I guess one of the hard realities has been that I can't save everybody from everything. And it's also been that sometimes there are things I'll choose not to promote that I will tell somebody not to buy, and they'll turn around and go buy it anyway. Oh, this will make you laugh. I will, for example, you've seen my emails where I do buy this, not that. And it'll be an A-B kind of split. And I'll say this one sucks, but this one's better. I've learned that I have to put an affiliate link for both products because I will have 3 to 5 people go buy the darn thing that I told them not to buy. I'm not sure what to make of those people. I'm really not. I mean, I'm glad they benefit me and bought through me. I don't think they intended me to ever catch on to what they just did, though. Oh, yeah, for sure, Michael. It's a total laugh moment. I did it by accident one day. The only link I had for the product I didn't want to promote was an affiliate link, and I dropped it in, and I made sales on the darn thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. And that has proven very consistent. Anytime I run a buy this, not that, I need an affiliate link for both because somebody will go to this other product. And I don't know whether they get sucked in by the sales page or whether they were going to buy it anyways or whether they think that I'm intentionally lying to them. I'd really like to know the rationale, but I don't. I don't know how that happens. It's kind of like the reverse psychology that happens where I can send out a promotional post and get my standard number of unsubscribes and get one mid-range kind of piece of feedback. And, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, I might get, you know, one person say, you know, I really, yeah, did you have to promote that? But no, nothing too drastic. And then 2 days later, I turn around and I email out a piece that's pure content that has nothing for sale in it, and I will get freaking hate mail. I will get hate mail off of a piece of educational content. My unsubscribes will spike. My reviews in that little link that says, you know, help me tweak my content will be nasty. And it makes me not want to write helpful stuff. And I know I'm not alone. I've talked to other marketers. This is the way it is across the board. And my theory on the psychology is that promotional posts are easy to just gloss over and click delete, but that when I give value and they've read it and they didn't have anything, they couldn't just click delete on it. They had to do something. I don't know. I don't know what inspires people's ire when I send real educational stuff. Tim Castleman even collected stats on this phenomenon. But I know it's true. It happens to every marketer out there. And my only guess is that educational content is not as easy to just click delete on and to have the equivalent of banner blindness too. That we can have banner blindness to promotional stuff, but to educational stuff we have, I don't know, some reaction or something. So if you ever see that with your list, don't let it fluster you because it happens to everyone. They don't talk about it. No one talks about it. No one tells about it, but it's for real. And the lists are just screwed up. So fortunately, there's lots of cool people on your list too, and you got to just ignore the dogs who are just going to bark because, you know, dogs only bark at moving cars. You know, dogs only bark at somebody going somewhere. And, you know, sometimes you just got to let them bark. But it is a strange phenomenon. You'll see that it is, we're afraid of mailing promotional stuff, but you'll actually find that at the end of the day, it's easier to mail promotional stuff than it is to mail educational stuff routinely, once they're used to receiving both. Now, if you go from mailing only educational to mailing promotional, then you're going to give your list a culture shock, but that's different. You wouldn't want to be doing that in the first place anyways. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yeah, Michael, that was the correct address. They all wind up to me. I have a dozen of them. Yep, I got it. I went straight from the webinar yesterday. I left the recording sitting open, unsaved, and I went straight back to bed yesterday. I literally fell in the bed, and that was the end of me. And I crawled out of that bed about 45 minutes before this call. Got a shower and sat down here. That's all I've done in 2 days. So 2 webinars in 2 days, and that's all I've done. But yeah, I got that. So, all right, guys, it has been a pleasure. We will do this again next month. So it will be the first Wednesday, excuse me, no horse there. First Wednesday of the month, which looks like it's the 1st of May. And it will be same bat time, same bat schedule. My pleasure, Marie. Good to see you, sweetie. If you have any questions after this or want to come hang out or just want to do me some favors, drop by my Facebook page. Always glad to gab with you there. And your comments and that help me there too. So it's always nice to when you drop in and hang out with me. I appreciate it. All right, it has been a pleasure. You take care and have a great one.